Since the Broncos are my favorite team, I decided to do a video on my top 5 Denver Broncos wide receivers in Bronco history. Now, I'm basing this off, they had to play at least like 40 games with the Broncos. They're not going off like one season. And I'm not going by, okay, this person had the most yards. I'm going by who I feel like talent-wise is the best. So at number 10, starting off, I have Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson played with John Elway in the 80s and early 90s. He played on a few of those Super Bowl teams. He didn't make any Pro Bowls or any All-Pros or anything like that. He didn't have any 1,000-yard seasons. But he was a very consistent receiver, getting like 400, 500, 600, 700 yards. So I have him as my number 10 receiver. At number 9, I'm going to go with Eric Decker. The best thing that happened to Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas is when they went from having Tim Tebow throw them the ball to getting Peyton Manning to throw them the ball. As you can see, once 2012 hit, Eric Decker numbers jumped up with Peyton Manning. His touchdowns jumped up. And I feel like he could have got more out of his career with the Broncos, but he did well. At number 8, I got Jerry Jeudy. A lot of Bronco fans got a problem with Jerry Jeudy. I don't. Jerry Jeudy is a victim of not having. If Jerry Jeudy would have had Peyton Manning like Eric Decker, look. If you look at Eric Decker's numbers for receiving yards, he had 3,070. Jerry Jeudy had 3,053, and that's with multiple quarterbacks, while Eric Decker mainly had Peyton Manning and Tim Tebow. Imagine if Jerry Jeudy would have had that type of quarterback. It's the same with Corin Su. If Courtland Sutton had Peyton Manning as his quarterbacks, his numbers would be way higher. His touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy, for some reason, like, again, I feel like when Peyton Manning was there, Wells Worker, Julius Thomas, Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, all of them got 10 or more touchdowns in one season. Imagine if Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton would have had, and Tim Patrick, would have had a quarterback like Peyton Manning as their quarterback. At number 7, I have Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey played with the Broncos for about 7 years, put up some great numbers. He only made 1 Pro Bowl, though, but he still put up some good numbers. Had 3 straight seasons of 1,000 yards, another season of 900 yards. But that makes sense because you got to look at it. You got Rod Smith on the other side, Shannon Sharp catching the ball, and you got Terrell Davis in the back. So Ed McCaffrey is my number 7. At number 6, I got Courtland Sutton. Again, yes, Ed McCaffrey has more yards than Courtland Sutton, but I feel like as an actual like individual receiver, Courtland Sutton is better than Ed McCaffrey. I kind of feel like Jerry Jeudy is too, but I didn't want to like disrespect Ed McCaffrey, what he did for the Broncos. But as you see, Courtland Sutton only had 1,000-yard season. Again, that's because quarterback play. When you have multiple quarterbacks, it's kind of hard to put up great numbers, especially if you have another great receiver on the other side, which he had when he had Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Emmanuel Sanders. So it's hard to put up 1,000 yards with trash quarterback, average quarterback play, especially if you got multiple receivers that the quarterback has to spread the ball to. At number 5, I have Lionel Taylor. Now, this is in the 60s. I watched film on him, and I feel like he has some nice highlights. You got to give credit where credit is due in certain eras. This is in the AF. This is when the Broncos was in the AFL. But he had 4,000-yard receiving seasons with the Broncos. And he was all pro, so I'm gonna give him credit for that. At number 4, I have Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders played like 7 years with the Broncos. Again, I feel like the Broncos let him and Demaryius Thomas down by not going get better quarterback play. Like, if you look at his numbers when he got there with Peyton, then after Peyton retired, his numbers started going down because of the quarterback play. But I got him at number 4. At number 3, I got Brandon Marshall. Real Bronco fans remember, Brad. They like, you remember the physicality of big receiver like Brandon Marshall. When it was him and Kyle Orton and then Jay Cutler. Brandon Marshall was a beast. He went on to get more pros and stuff when he went to Chicago, played well in Miami. But I got Brandon Marshall as my number 3 best individual receiver for the Broncos. At number 2, RIP, Demaryius Thomas. When Demaryius Thomas was playing at the end of his Bronco career, the last 2 or 3 years, Bronco fans were complaining about him dropping passes and stuff. But that never stopped him from putting up numbers. Again, he was steady. He had 5 straight seasons of putting up 1,000 yards. And again, if it was not for Peyton Manning retiring and John Elway not getting better quarterbacks, he probably, the shit that Mike Evans is doing, Demaryius Thomas could have did that if he had a better quarterback. But again, you got Emmanuel Sanders on the other side. Then you bring in Corin Su and Tim Patrick and all that. And then the quarterback play, again, it's kind of hard to get 1,000 yards when you got average quarterback play and another 1,000-yard receiver on the other side. And that was my number 1. If you're watching this video, you probably would already guess I got Rod Smith. Rod Smith, what Rod Smith got out of his career, and I'll still argue anybody today that Rod Smith deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, because his numbers are almost exactly as Michael Irvin's numbers, and Michael Irvin is in the Hall of Fame. But Rod Smith was Rod Smith was not only a receiving beast, he had 5 seasons of 1,000 yards with multiple quarterbacks playing aside Ed McCaffrey, Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis. But Rod Smith also was a punt returner too and was scoring touchdowns on punt returns. So I feel like Rod Smith is without a doubt number 1 for the Broncos. Some people may try to argue Demaryius Thomas, or if you're an older person, you might say Lionel Taylor. Brandon Marshall could be in that conversation because, like I said, Brandon Marshall was a big physical type receiver. But that is my list. So to recap, this is my list for my top 10 receivers in Broncos history. You got other receivers, again, they had to play 40 games, though, was my criteria. So Brandon Lloyd had 1 good season. Tim Patrick didn't put up enough, and then he got injured. Who else? Wes Welker didn't play enough games. Who else? Leslie Lilly, Ashley Lilly. He didn't put up enough. He didn't put up enough. So that was my top 10. Let me know in the comment section where you disagree, who you would have where, what are your top 10. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like and comment. More videos coming soon. Trey T out. Peace.